You're listening to the Seahawks Insiders, getting you ready for Seahawks football every Sunday. Presented by Delta, the official airline of the Seahawks. Now, here's your host, Jen Mueller.
The Seahawks are back on the road this week, and John Boyle, for as much as I am somewhat dreading the flight across country, the Seahawks have been really good on the road.
I know. It's a weird thing to be like, oh, this is a tough one. But they're 10 a.m. on the road. That's good.
That's good.
It's always a good thing. Yeah.
That's really good. Yes, it is Jacksonville this week. We do not go to Jacksonville often. So, it does take a little bit more game prep on a week like this week because we're not generally watching AFC teams. I will say Jacksonville is a really interesting team. And we are going to get into that. But do you know what Jacksonville is known for, John?
I do not.
No,
I bet you're ready to tell me, though.
I did a quick search. 22 miles of beaches and the nation's largest urban park system.
I did not know that.
Well,
See, I'm a little smarter today thanks to you in this podcast.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Jen.
Well,
I do.
I would like for you to be smarter every day as a result of talking to me, but we know that's
so would I.
That's not happening on that one. I hope to bring a few more tidbits to the peeps today. And I think it fits in really well with some of the conversations that we have been having. Let's start with some of the positives from last week's game against Tampa Bay and just what we have seen, offense in general, Sam Darnold and A.J. Barner. Go.
Yeah. Well, we can throw JSN in there too. But yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold has been, the offense didn't do a ton in the first game, but he was still pretty good. Just the numbers weren't there. But really the last 4 games, he has been outstanding. And I mean, it's a shame they couldn't finish that last drive because he was having just the game of his life with, putting up big numbers, 4 touchdowns, moving around the pocket. He was doing everything well. And then, unfortunately, that one pass bounces off a helmet. He's just trying to throw it away, and it happens to catch a helmet, carry him up in the air. And then you mentioned A.J. Barner, too. I mean, here's a guy that, I just looked this up. His bio, his pre-draft bio on NFL.com said won't offer much in the passing game. It describes him as a improving run blocker who probably won't offer much in the passing game. And here he is, 8 touchdowns in his first 22 NFL games for the season, coming off a 2-touchdown game last week. Really cool to see that guy blossom into a very good and really a complete tight end. He's not just a guy running routes, split out wide and catching passes like a receiver. He is blocking. He's putting in the dirty work, but he's also become this really good red zone target. Well,
there's probably a reason for that. Like, he plays that position with a lot of aggression.
Yes.
And we were talking to him earlier this week about, was this a tough sell trying to be a tight end? Because for as much praise as he has gotten over the last few weeks, that is not the position that is typically highlighted, right?
Yeah.
And so it can be a little bit of an adjustment for a guy to become a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. He talked about it. He wanted to be a linebacker, correct? Is that what he told us?
Well, yes.
Am I
Don't jump the gun.
Am I
yes.
stepping on some sound?
There was supposed to be a nice segue there, John. Instead, I'm just going to say, roll the tape.
Sorry.
So I played linebacker for almost all my life, and I really wanted to play linebacker in college. And I tell people I think I could play linebacker in the league too. But when I was getting recruited for college, it was my size was just I'm not going to be covering anyone man to man. So they switched me to tight end, and it was just a great fit for me. But I still have those characteristics of a linebacker. I think the defensive coaches know that here, so it serves me well. But it definitely wasn't a tough sell, but I definitely did want to play linebacker for a long time.
I, for one, would love to see a 6'6" off-ball linebacker trying to cover guys. It'd be fun.
I think that he would make a pretty good run at it. Now, let's flip the script a little bit. Leonard Williams, we know him, middle of that defensive line, one of the toughest guys to defend on the interior. And it turns out he might actually like to flip spaces and flip roles with A.J. Barner based on how he would see himself if he played both defense and offense.
I've tried to imagine a few times, actually. I wouldn't mind playing tight end, getting the rock a little bit at times. But I think he's a great player. I mean, he's a dynamic player. He's very athletic. And I think on offense, he gives us some challenges. He makes guys miss in space. And he's a pretty good athlete.
What kind of tight end would you be?
More red zone. Give me the ball, though. High point it.
I'd love to see that. Maybe we need to talk to Clint Kubiak, see if they can
and just see if there can be a special
goal
package
line, some red
there.
zone, maybe report eligible as a big tackle or a extra tackle, big tight end kind of thing.
Here's my only challenge with that. Really tough to disguise that look.
Well,
if you see Leonard Williams on the field on offense.
It'd be fun, though.
It would be fun.
And do you need to disguise? Look how big he is.
Well, I think you're not going to be able to disguise it. That's for sure.
I think sometimes just size can win even if they know what's coming. If you place the ball well.
You know what I'm not going to try to do? Test Leonard Williams.
No.
I'm just not going to. But the reason we were talking about being able to play on both sides of the ball was obviously Travis Hunter as we get into the conversation about what the Seahawks can expect in Jacksonville. And because we don't see these guys very often, I'd like to go just a little bit more in depth this week about what we can expect to see for Travis Hunter, that two-way star in college who won 8 major college awards, including the Heisman. And John, I got to be honest, when I take a look at the snap counts and how he's being used on both sides of the ball, I'm actually a little bit surprised that it is playing out the way that it is in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions coming in. Like, can he really play both ways? Are they just going to focus on one, sprinkle in others? And he's doing a lot right now. And had his best game as a receiver last week. Really, had a spectacular downfield catch, had a touchdown. So he's playing really well, and that's why you go make that trade to go get a guy, as you see him as an impact guy on two sides of the ball.
Yep, he played 64 snaps against the Chiefs, 39 on offense, 25 on defense. Now, they have used him on defense a little bit more at different times with injuries at corner. Now, they just made a trade this week to kind of shore up that position just a little bit. But in general, he's seen more playing time on offense. He is still getting plenty of reps on the other side of the ball. And I do just think it's interesting the way that you look at how this Jacksonville team is built. Because to me, and again, maybe this is because I don't watch as much AFC, they've just flown under the radar as to how they've put all this together. I mean, am I crazy?
No. I mean, well, you see a team make a coaching change after a 4-win season, and you're maybe not expecting, you would hope if you're going to change coaches, you're going to turn things around and start improving. But the quick turnaround they've done where they just beat 2 good teams in a row, beat the 49ers and now beat the defending champs in prime time. Those aren't fluky wins over bad teams or something. They're beating good teams and doing a lot of things well. We'll touch on more of that later. But yeah, this is what they got going there under Liam Combs. Pretty impressive. And I did misspeak. Travis Hunter did not have his first touchdown last week, but did have a good game.
I probably should have caught that. Did he not?
Should've.
I think he went for... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to throw out any numbers that I can't.
3 for 64 along with 44.
Yep.
For some reason, I had a touchdown in my head, but I was trying to give him too much.
Trying to give him too much credit. I got that. Well, the Jags did beat up on the Panthers week 1. Their only loss was to the Bengals. That was by 4 points. They are playing tough games, and Trevor Lawrence has come up big in those moments. I was a little bit surprised to see that he has 6 game-winning touchdown drives, including the postseason. That would be game winners in the final 2 minutes or in overtime. 2 of those have come this season. I would say this last week against the Chiefs, that was probably the most unlikely one. But he is making plays.
Touchdown run was how he drew it up? Getting stepped on by your lineman, falling down, getting up, stumbling, and running in?
Probably not the way that they drew it up, but they are still finding ways to do it. And what's interesting, so Liam Combs, the first-year head coach, he is calling the offense. He comes from the Rams.
Yeah.
A couple of stops ago. So everything that Jacksonville is doing, well, it looks similar to what the Seahawks are familiar in saying. And quite honestly, John, I think we've heard some of the defensive guys saying it is similar to what you saw in Tampa. Oh, by the way, that's where the head coach was the offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah, that different variations of that Shanahan / McVay West Coast offense are so prevalent around the NFL now that, yes, every coach is going to put their own spin on it when they get the head coach or the play calling duties, but there is, I think as Leonard Williams told us, is like there's some advantage. You saw a very similar system last week as you're going to see this week, so it can help just in terms of preparation. That no, we don't see Jacksonville every year. This isn't a division opponent, but we've seen a very similar scheme quite a bit, both in our division and in the opponent last week.
And when we're talking about that offense, we know that they are going to run the ball. Travis Etienne is one of the reasons that they have the 5th most rushing yards. They rank 7th highest in the NFL on average yards per rush. That is one of the things that separates him when you just look at straight numbers is how many yards per rush he is getting. And here's how Mike Macdonald McDonald is kind of looking at how that plays out versus the defense?
Well, he kind of does everything well, in my opinion. He's an explosive runner. He's got great balance. I think he's seeing it well right now. I think he finishes runs well. There's an explosive element to their run game too, where they've popped off a few long runs that, normally you see like a long run, there's 17,000 guys on a line of scrimmage and maybe a guy misses a tackle and, now it's to the gate. These runs are like, running through angles, breaking tackles, different waves of defense. So it's impressive what he's doing. But, he's a great back. We see great backs every week. We got to bring our A game every week. We have to play. It's like we have to play our style of football to be able to play our best game to put ourselves in a chance to win. And we respect him. He's a great player, but we got to play Seahawks defense.
17,000 guys on line of scrimmage sounds like a real good way to run the ball. I mean, man, it'd be hard to block that or to defend that. But yeah, I mean, he's having a great season. He's averaging 5.2 a carry. To your point, it's not just like just volume. We're running the ball a ton. He's been explosive. He is fourth in the NFL now in rushing yards. Be a good test for a Seahawks run defense that has been outstanding this year. The Seahawks are allowing 3.3 a carry, which is second best in the NFL. I believe they're third in rushing yards allowed per game. So it's a good kind of strength-on-strength battle between these two.
Yeah, and for kind of the turnaround that they are seeing in Jacksonville, it is exactly what Cohen did with Tampa. The Bucs went from last in the league to fourth best. That is exactly where Jacksonville sits this season. It is not because of wholesale changes. It is exactly what we saw with some of those gap schemes and then wide runs where it just felt like, man, you were trying to plug the gaps, right, and plug the holes on some of those runs. Before we flip over and take a look at the other side of the ball, let's pause for a word from our presenting sponsor.
Seattle is a city wired for change, where innovation drives the everyday, and Delta is proud to invest in that momentum. With nonstop flights to over 60 global destinations from Seattle, Delta connects you to the world. With thoughtfully designed cabins, premium service, and a seamless travel experience, all while supporting the community you call home. So your travel time feels more like me time. Delta, flying Seattle forward. Visit delta.com or download Delta's app to book your next trip.
The one thing I didn't mention about that run game?
What's that?
Former Seahawks running backs coach Chad Morton is there. There's a few familiar faces that we are going to see on that coaching staff.
Nice.
Including former special team standout Heath Farwell, who is now the special teams coordinator.
Love it.
I always love seeing Heath. Those are some shout outs. We will look to catch up with those guys on game day. Now, here's what we don't want to be talking about on game day is Jacksonville and the takeaways.
Yeah.
It is
How about that?
Unbelievable what they're doing on defense.
It really is. They lead the league with 14 takeaways, and it's not just, sometimes you see a team they're getting turnovers because they have this awesome pass rush and they're either sacking quarterbacks or forcing a million interceptions. And they're doing it all sorts of different ways. They're getting, guys in coverage in passing lanes. They're punching the ball out. They're doing so many things well. But what really stands out is the turnaround here, just like we're talking about the whole team of 4-win team last year to what they've done this year, starting 4-1. I think they had 9 takeaways all of last year. I'm looking this up right now. Yeah, they had 9 takeaways. They're ranked dead last in the NFL. They've surpassed that number by a good margin through 5 games, and they lead the NFL. That's a pretty wild turnaround.
Now, it is crazy to think that you could maintain that level of production.
Yeah, I mean, that's
in those particular stats and categories for the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, that's like 80s turnover pace when teams just threw the ball haphazardly.
Yes.
You got a million.
It is true. But how about this name that you probably haven't heard much about? Devin Lloyd, the linebacker, reigning
Holy
AFC
smokes. He's having a year.
Defensive Player of the Month. And, of course, you know him because of that big 99-yard return for touchdown,
but to your
right?
point, that came after he's Player of the Month, and then he gets a 99-yard pick six.
He leads the league in takeaways with 5, and he leads the league in interceptions with 4.
Yeah.
Watch out for that guy, is all I can say.
Be aware where he is.
Know where he is.
Very classic. You need to know where he is all the time.
Exactly. And when Mike McDonald looks at those takeaways, he's not really looking at the numbers. He's focused more on the style of play.
Well, it's they forced fumbles and they've intercepted the ball a lot. And the interception today was in a zero blitz with a pop out, similar to like Leo's last year against New York. it's kind of coming in all different things. And like what we say is, if you play with energy, balls tends to come to life. But you also have to have an awareness of when those ops come. The fumbles have come, both in ball in transition, extended plays, the quarterback. So they're doing a good job of finding those ops and taking advantage of them.
Now, I would say one of the reasons they are in position to do that is because of how they play the run game. Now, that run defense is pretty good, but I was looking at some next-gen stats and realized that they play with a six-man box like 48% of the time. It is it's the highest percentage for having a light box in the run game. And so, of course, you're going to be dedicating more resources to the back end of that defense. But it's pretty impressive what they're being able to do and playing, as I think Coach would call it, complementary football.
Yeah, and it's, again, they're doing so many things well. But their run numbers do suggest there's potentially some opportunity for the Seahawks to move the ball. They've not been bad on run defense, but they haven't been a dominant unit either. And the Seahawks have been showing some progress on that side of the ball, or that part of their game where, that was a big topic through the first few weeks of Seahawks are playing well, but the run game's not there. They're coming off 277 rushing yards their last two games. And Ken Walker's, what do you average, 8.6 a carry last week. There's some really good signs in the Seahawks run game, so I'm excited to see what they can do, maybe run the ball a little bit this week.
Yep, and that was against a Bucs defense that wasn't supposed to allow any rushing.
Exactly.
yards. Yeah. John, I've now been sitting with you for several minutes. Your hat is quite catchy.
It's bright.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. It is
fun.
Also part of Crucial Catch
Yes.
month. So everybody is going to be wearing those on the sidelines. It is one of the ways that you can support the fight against cancer. It is the 2025 Seahawks Crucial Catch collection. It is now available at the Pro Shop. Through October, 12% of proceeds from any in-store Crucial Catch collection purchase goes to the Crucial Catch Fund with Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. You can also donate to the Crucial Catch Fund at connect.virginiamason.org/crucial-catch.
I know it's a good hat when I take it home and I know my kids are going to
And the kids, I know.
That's like, okay.
Maybe that can be the special hat. And when they do all their chores and they're polite, they can earn it and they can wear it for a short amount of time.
There you go. We'll see what we do. Maybe I'll just keep it. Maybe I'll just be
Or
dad.
maybe you'll take away
Maybe
temptation.
for once I'll just keep some for myself instead of my kids taking it all.
Good luck with that. You've got 3 girls, John. I don't know that that's going to work.
I don't win a lot of battles.
Quite honest with
I'll be
you.
honest.
Yeah, I don't think that that's going to work. Here's a fun note that crosses over between offense and defense. Did you realize Darian Kendrick, first of all, I think always should have been a Seahawk. Mm-hmm. Boy, does he fit well with that secondary. Did you realize that he was one of Trevor Lawrence's targets in college?
I did not.
Yep.
It does make sense.
Kendrick started his career as a wide receiver. He did catch touchdown passes from Trevor Lawrence in 2018 at Clemson. Then he switched to the corner, and in 21, he played on the same defense at Georgia as Trayvon Walker from the Jags. I will be tracking down Darian this week to find out all of the little tells. And I think that's probably only going to remind him that he could have had a couple more interceptions this year.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes a move from receiver to corner works well. We've seen it a few times here.
We have seen it. We have seen that one. Also, sometimes skill sets demand it. One of the things that Mike McDonald talked about, and you touched on it earlier, was just the ability to close out games. And it feels different on the sidelines. It feels different in the stadium because you're keeping track of the clock. You realize what's going on. But as Coach pointed out, it really shouldn't feel different in the way that they operate or the way that they execute with the game on the line.
Yeah, it's a play-by-play mindset. It's the same thing that we talk about. Like I told the team today, like we haven't played a playoff game here yet with us. And so are we going to change our mindset when all of a sudden we're in a different environment, or now we're in Jacksonville, or now we're in OTA 5, or now it's quarter 4 versus quarter 1? I don't think that you need to be changing your mindset because of the circumstance. I think the mindset stays the same, whereas it's all about our process and what goes into a play and how to play the play, how we're going to finish plays, all those things. And so when we've done that, we've played great football at the end of games, and we've closed games out, and we haven't given ourselves as good of a chance to win games.
As Mike put it at the end there, they've done a great job in some games. They haven't. Pittsburgh was a tight game going in the fourth quarter, and they blew that one open. They put together a nice finish in Arizona. They did give up some points there, but they were able to finish out strong. But then there's been 2 games they had a chance and couldn't quite close out, really on both sides of the ball. The 49ers drove down to take the lead late, and then same thing happened in this last game. So it's tough, especially, I think, playing defense in those situations, because if a team's losing, they're going to be more aggressive. They're going to go faster. They're going to take more shots, all things that put strain on defense. So, I mean, look, I think in the long run, we're going to be really happy about what this defense is, and they're going to do a lot of great things, but there's going to be games. I mean, Mike made this point not about late games, but just in general, like, he doesn't like it when teams are like, or when coaches talk about, we did this wrong, we did this wrong. Like, sometimes you also have to be like, look, Tampa Bay played a really good game on offense. Their quarterback was outstanding, and yes, the Seahawks could have and should have been better, but sometimes you also have to say, look, that team did some good things. And
defensively, you lost some key pieces in the game, not to mention you didn't have key pieces going into the game. So what we can say is the guys on the field who had that experience and that entire unit having the experience makes them better suited to find success the next time.
It's good experience for everyone, but I mean, it's as much as you want. Every team's going to preach next man up, but like when you're down 5 starters on one side of the ball, that's really tough. And when 2 went down in the game, so it's a depth issue as well. Those are just really hard things to overcome, especially when the other quarterback is playing out of his mind.
Yes, there is a reason that starters are starters.
Exactly.
Right, and sometimes you see that. Right, play out. We need to give you 2 things that the Seahawks need to do to get a win on Sunday. But first, let's pause for a word from our presenting sponsor.
Seahawks fans, 12 Status is back benefiting you this season. 1 passing yard gets you 1 mile all Seahawks season long. 12 Status members get priority boarding out of SeaTac all Seahawks season long. And 12 Status members get a 12% discount at the Seahawks Pro Shop on the 12th of each month. Sign up now at 12status.com.
Okay, John, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to go first and take the really easy.
Okay.
You know where I'm going. Turnovers. The Jacksonville Jaguars have yet to have a game this year without a takeaway on defense. Let's make this the first one. I think if the Seahawks can just take care of the ball, we saw it really in this last game. Like when the Seahawks offense is not getting in their own way, whether it was the turnovers or the penalty, there was either a crucial penalty or a turnover on 4 possessions for the Seahawks. They didn't score on those 4. They scored 5 touchdowns on the other 5 possessions. So take care of the ball, and I think the offense is going to be really good. And then I want to see, I know we can talk a lot about Travis Etienne and their run game, but I want to see Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet get going again and really get that run game again. I think we've seen some progress the last 2 weeks. I'd love to see them build on that.
Okay, I'm going to pick 2 on the defensive side of things.
There we go.
I never do this, but Trevor Lawrence has only been sacked 6 times this season, tied with Sam Darnold. I believe that is 4th fewest in the NFL. He's got 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, so dial up that pressure, force him into some of those mistakes. On 3rd down, get off the field. Jacksonville has not been good at converting on 3rd down. In fact, just about 38% conversion rate, and they are top 10 in the league in 3rd down attempts. So they are getting their chances. Get off the field. No penalties in those situations, and just force them into very short drives and give the ball back to the offense.
Yep. Seahawks coming off a tough 3rd down game, so that'd be nice to bounce back from.
That is how we have dialed it up. We'll see how Coach dials it up and how it all plays out on Sunday, and be back with you for another edition of Seahawks Insiders Podcast.